How's it going, guys and girls? Jackson here, back with another video, baby. Fancy doing a tier maker. I haven't done one on the channel before, and what with the Marvels coming out in a couple weeks time and cinema being a bit sort of dry at the moment, unless you're a massive horror fan, which I am not. I like some horror, but there's not really much going on at the moment in the world of cinema. And in the world of TV, I'm currently watching Gen V, which I highly recommend, and also the Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix. Also recommend watching that. I haven't finished either yet, so no reviews. So yeah, I thought I'd try a bit of a tier maker for a video this week. And what better way to start a tier maker off than by the good old MCU, baby. I'm pretty sure I have all of the films and TV shows on here. Apologies if not. And we might as well just get started with the need to watch section. So pretty self-explanatory. Haven't watched these in either full or at all. So obviously the Marvels not out yet, coming out in November, I believe. Hype factor for the Marvels is low, like most people. I won't completely shit on it though. I like to give things a chance, but I'm not expecting much based on the trailers, and the overall buzz is negative. Marvel What If I just never got around to watching. It's on the to-do list, that's why it's next. Secret Invasion, I watched the first 2 episodes, wasn't really vibing it. I know how it ends, I won't spoil it. I try and keep this as spoiler free for people that are still catching up on the MCU as a whole. But I thought the ending sounded interesting, I guess. I may go back and watch the show. Miss Marvel, again, I started it, just wasn't really vibing it. I actually thought, is it Kamala Khan? I thought her character and the actor was actually doing a good job. I just wasn't really into it at the time. I might give it another chance. She-Hulk, I didn't watch any of the episodes. I probably won't ever watch She-Hulk based on the reception. But hey, if you enjoyed it, then good for you. And then Werewolf by Night, I didn't even know it existed. Shows how much of a Marvel fan I am, eh guys? Right, Jesus. Apparently it came out last year. It's at the very end of this pile because I probably will never watch it, and that's the God's honest truth there. Without further ado, let's get started on this lovely list. So first and foremost, Civil War. Captain America Civil War is an easy S tier, baby. Come on, let's be honest. One of my favourite films in all of the MCU, easily. The ending between Cap and Iron Man gets me every time still. Their sort of fight at the end with Bucky, oh my god, just goosebumps. Introduces a lot of cool elements. Civil War, easily an S tier. The first Avengers, I would probably also put this... I'd probably put the first Avengers in an S tier as well. I actually prefer Civil War, but you know, the culmination of the original films, what more could you want? It was a lot of people's dreams to see sort of the Avengers on screen, on the big screen, and I thought they did a good job with the first film. I actually prefer some of the other ones going forward, but I would definitely argue this is an S tier film. Avengers Age of Ultron, I won't shit on it as much as some people do. I would probably put this in a B tier, if I'm being honest. A lot of people felt underwhelmed by Ultron. I thought Ultron was pretty good actually in this film. Suit of armor around the world. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film. It wasn't as good as the original Avengers, but I think a B is a fair sort of placement for this film. It might change as we go along, guys. We'll see. Let me know if you agree though. Age of Ultron's always been one of those contentious films about the quality of it, but yeah, I think a B is a fair result there. Avengers Infinity War is an easy S tier. Come on now, this is probably one of the best films outright anyway. Let's go with the meme here. Thanos was right. I mean, the way the world is nowadays, I can see why Thanos has no faith in human life or in life in general. But no, in all seriousness, and another culmination here, seeing it through the sort of the point of view of Thanos, the ending, where again, I think everyone's seen this film. It's one of the highest grossing films ever, but the whole the good guys actually losing was very powerful at the time. I remember watching it in the cinema, and I was legit stunned that they actually ended with everyone kind of losing. And you know, it's always heartbreaking watching Spidey disappear in front of Tony Stark. So yeah, easy S tier. Avengers Endgame, really enjoyed it. Doesn't quite reach the same heights as Infinity War in my opinion. I'm gonna go with A tier for Endgame. Again, very good film. Some say it's the last truly good Marvel film. I disagree, but I get where they're coming from. Very poignant ending. Very good ending, actually. I thought they wrapped up the whole Infinity Stone saga excellently, actually. And I would have had no qualms if they ended the MCU after this film, at least for a while. I'm quite happy that they didn't, because there are quite a lot of films and shows that have come since that I have enjoyed, but I understand why a lot of people feel like this was the end of the MCU and Marvel. Not quite an S for me, but I'm sure a lot of people will put this film up there in the S tier. The culmination at the end of this film, and then the ending is fantastic. But I'll leave it as an A for now. We'll see how we go. Guardians of the Galaxy 1. To me, this is between an A and an S. Oh man, this is a tough one here. I'm gonna go with S tier because I remember when this film first came out. Guardians of the Galaxy, your average Joe doesn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy are. The average Joe probably knows the Avengers or some of the Avengers, but what they managed to do, what James Gunn managed to do with this film, sort of revolutionized the MCU going forward. For better and worse, almost every film afterwards decided to include the Guardians of the Galaxy humor or that style and tone into their films. Some very successful, some not so. Marvel films at that point were quite serious, and then Guardians came along and completely sort of spun it on its head as such. So yeah, to me this is an S tier. As a film itself, I would argue maybe an A, but I think for the overall impact and the quality of the film, I'll leave it as an S. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. This is the more, I think the whole trilogy is fantastic, but I would argue that Galaxy 2 is probably the weakest. And again, I'm a bit conflicted between B and A here. I think I'm going to go with B for the moment and see where we end up. I mean, I love, again, Yondu, shout out, very good ending, again, get the tissues. I'm going to leave it as a B for now. Ant-Man 1. Ant-Man's one of these ones that I think a lot of people find a bit meh, so-so. You know, he's not quite an Iron Man, is he, or a Cap? However, the films are fun. It's actually my wife's favourite out of all of the heroes, good old Ant-Man, mostly because of Paul Rudd. I would say Ant-Man 1 is probably... my head is saying C, but my heart is saying B. We're going B, baby. Ant-Man and the Wasp, again, really fun film. I recently rewatched it actually, and it's a shame that the villain is so crap, because the rest of the film is a fun time, really fun time. I really enjoyed watching it again. It doesn't quite reach the A because the villain, I can't remember the name of the villain, the one that phases in and out, it's just meh. But the overall film, and I like the comedy of Ant-Man 1 and 2, and the overall film was fun. And then you had the post-credit sequence as well with Ant-Man 2 that was very fun at the time. So yeah, leave it as a B. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, he's a strange one. Doctor Strange, my gut is telling me kind of might leave him as a C, you know. I think he works better in other films as opposed to his own film. I think some people would argue that he's underrated and his film is underrated. I'm going to leave him as a C for the moment. I enjoyed Doctor Strange. I thought it was a good film. Was it an excellent film? He might get moved later on. We'll see how we go. Okay. Iron Man 1. The film that started it all off, really, let's be honest. Very self-contained story, very good story. RDJ, baby, what more can you say? I'm not going to put... maybe I could put it as an S tier. I'm thinking A here. I would say for kicking off the MCU and it not failing, a lot of that is down to this film and the performance of Robert Downey Jr., of course. I think, yeah, fits nicely in A. I don't think it's quite an S tier film. Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay. I actually quite enjoyed this film. Nothing like the iconic moment where Iron Man, Tony Stark, comes out of the suit and Spider-Man is shook because he didn't expect him to be there. That moment is quite well memed. I actually quite like Vulture. I thought he was a good villain in this. I actually quite enjoyed this overall. I don't think it's the best film out there, but I think it's probably a B. We'll go with B for now. Far From Home, again, the Spider-Man films are quite a hard one to score because they are enjoyable. I love Tom Holland. I really like Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya. You know, what more can you say about them? No, it's a good cast. I think Tom's a good Spider-Man. He's not necessarily the best Spider-Man we've ever had, but I think he does a very good job. I'm going to put Spidey in B as well. Could change. Really liked the ending actually with Mysterio, and it really had large ramifications for Spider-Man moving forward, and also the wider sort of story, I guess. I love moment nostalgia. I love being, brought back to, the good old days, the glory days of the 90s and the noughties. Again, I recently rewatched this and I enjoyed it. It wasn't as impactful second time round, but I really did enjoy watching it again. I don't think it's quite S tier. Some might argue it is. I think it's A. I'll go with an A at the moment. I don't care what anyone says. The Spider-Man reveals in this film harken back to the glory days. Fan service at its finest. If you haven't seen it, I'm trying not to spoil it, but yeah, if you love Spider-Man, I'm sure you already have seen this, but if you haven't, go watch it. It's a great film. He has to make some very meaningful choices in this film, older Peter Parker. So yeah, very good film. Black Panther 1, Wakanda Forever, baby. This to me is an A. I was thinking an S for a second. Again, thinking about the wider impact of this film and the cultural sort of significance of this film. I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the first $1 billion film at the box office without the sort of ensemble, like just the standalone. I think still holds up to this day. I think it's excellent. R.I.P. to our boy Chadwick. Not quite S tier for me, but definitely in the top tier with towards the top tier here in A. Captain Marvel, again, not going to completely just shit on it because that's what people do. I personally really didn't like the film, and that's nothing to do with it being a female or any of that crap that people say. I just don't think it was that good a film. I don't even think there's a case for it to be B. I mean, some people would probably put it in D in all honesty, but I don't think it quite deserves the treatment of a D. Black Widow, again, some people could argue that this goes into D. It was good to sort of give Natasha her standalone film. It's a shame that it came out when it did. It was fun. It wasn't fantastic, but it was fun. So again, I don't think I can justify it being in a B or above. Shang-Chi, baby. This film was straight fire for the first hour, maybe. Definitely the first act, maybe the first 2 acts. This film was, I thought, refreshing. I thought it was fantastic. It was one of my favorite sort of films or shows that had come out since Endgame. And then the ending for me, just wasn't really feeling it. I thought the dragon didn't look great. I thought the ending was a bit of a letdown. However, that first sort of first 2 acts of this film were fantastic, so it's going into the B's. Now, Eternals, I think we can all agree where this is going. S tier, baby, right? Easy D, come on, Eternals is just naff. Great cast, very disappointing really where the story goes. And my biggest bugbear, to the point where I have spoken about this in other videos, is the whole celestial coming out of the bloody planet, and no one talks about it in any of the sort of the bloody films or shows we've had since. There's literally a celestial coming out of Earth, and it hasn't been mentioned once in anything since Eternals. And I think in my video I went over it and I counted how many projects there had been since, and it was it was a handful at least, and not one bloody thing had acknowledged the events of Eternals. So to me, Kevin Feige doesn't care about the film, so I don't care about the film either, because, you know, they're normally fantastic at these crossovers and all of the rest of it, but they don't seem to care at the moment when it comes to Eternals. WandaVision, this is quite a tricky one for me. I actually really enjoyed WandaVision at the time. I understand why some people don't. I actually thought it was pretty good, and I'm going to go over my heart here, and I'm going to put this in B. It had some ramifications for future projects at the end of this. It goes through grief and loss quite powerfully in terms of the themes, and it was quite fun going through the sort of different eras of television. So I think a B is fair. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, on the other hand, it had some really good moments and it had some really awful moments. I haven't gone back to watch it since, so this is literally based on just my one-time viewing, and I don't think I can justify putting this anywhere other than C. It does set up some cool stuff for future projects at the very end of this, without spoiling, but I just thought it was mid, as they say. It wasn't really sort of great, it wasn't really awful, it was just sort of mid. And that's kind of that. Same with Iron Man 2, really. Iron Man 2, some people rate it, some don't. Same with all of the Iron Man trilogy. He's almost another one of those characters that sort of is better in other films than his own. I would argue Iron Man 2 has some good moments. It's definitely watchable, which is great, unlike Eternals. And it probably sits pretty in the C pile, let's be honest. Loki, this is just purely Loki season 1 at the moment. Obviously season 2 is out and we have seen 2 episodes, or I have at least. Most of you probably have as well. I actually really enjoyed Loki season 1. It wasn't necessarily groundbreaking, but it was definitely as good as WandaVision in its own right. It's always good seeing Loki as a character and Tom Hiddleston playing him. I think most people would agree on that he's universally liked. The ending was interesting in terms of the pathway it went. It was good, but it wasn't fantastic. So I think a B is fair for Loki. Hawkeye is an easy C. Yeah, an easy C. I was going to go B possibly. I might... Nah. I mean, it was fun. I liked the setting, you know, Christmas time, was jolly old vibes. Not that many ramifications at the moment for the future sort of plots. There are a couple of points coming up. One of the characters is getting their own show as well. Kingpin was okay in this, I guess. Hawkeye, he had good chemistry with, what's her face? I can't even remember her name now. Again, I only kind of one and done this when it first came out. Nothing too fantastic, but it was a good watch. It's enjoyable, and I would probably go back and watch this, but I don't think it's, you know, it doesn't deserve to be higher than a C. And that's probably the same for Moon Knight. I'm in two minds with Moon Knight about whether or not it fits more in the C or the B. Very bizarre one. not going to be a lot of your casual fans sort of cup of tea, I don't think. Was it Oscar Isaac, isn't it, who plays Moon Knight? I thought he did a good job. The concept is interesting, but it's, yeah, I don't know. I think C, there's no real argument here. I think it's a C. Let me know again if you think otherwise. Iron Man 3, I actually rewatched this one, and I know it was kind of hated at the time, but I really enjoyed rewatching it. I thought it really tested Tony and made him grow as a person. Sort of having PTSD still following the events of the first Avengers. I think he deserves to be on the B list, baby. I don't think it's quite an A, but I thought it was a good sort of solid film in the end, and there was some good character moments from Tony Stark, and he had to really sort of go through some trials and tribulations in this film, and we got to see some cool Stark tech in this. Incredible Hulk, I don't think I've watched this all the way through, so I'm going to have to put this in the need to watch pile as well. Will I ever watch this? Debatable. I think there's more chance of me watching that than The Werewolf by Night. I've seen bits of it. I think it's Abomination's the villain in this film. And I know Tony Stark appears in, I believe, in the post-credits of The Incredible Hulk. Not really that fussed about seeing it again. Hulk's one of these characters that's just, he's kind of there in other films, and that's good enough for me. I think 4-1 is a C tier list. Yeah, I think 4's just, I think in the early stages, a lot of people don't like the approach that he's gone now with Love and Thunder and, you know, the real jokey 4, Bro 4. But I think he's a bit dull in the first film. He's got a bit more of a personality in the second. But I just don't really rate 4-1. It's got some cool moments. It's got the OG storyline. I mean, everyone loves Natalie Portman, which always helps. It's got a good cast overall, but yeah, I think it's a C. As simple as that. Dark World, a lot of people would argue, is sort of a D tier film, in all honesty, and I'm kind of inclined to agree. I don't think it was that good. It did introduce some good elements, such as the the ether, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit forgettable to me. I can't really say I enjoyed it, but it's not as bad in my opinion as Love and Thunder. So on that note, you're moving up to C for Feel Privileged, baby. A film that is good and most people will agree with is Thor Ragnarok. My personal favourite film of the standalones. This is where we have a big tonal shift. Thor Ragnarok, from the first and second to this, they went down the Guardians route, and I think it's a fantastic film. It's got good comedy moments, the tone's good, it's still got the serious bits it's needed. It's got a strong villain in Hela. It's got the post-credit scene that goes into Infinity War. I mean, yeah, this film to me is an easy S tier. I think most people will agree that it's one of the best films in the MCU, especially the standalones. So to me, easy S tier, one of my favourites. The original Captain America, again, quite enjoyed this. I'm almost inclined to put this towards the A tier, you know. And just looking at what we've got left, I think I am. I'm going to go A for Captain America. Early stages of the MCU, Chris Evans establishing himself and solidifying his place in pop culture lore by becoming Cap, and I don't think anyone will do Captain America better than him. The plot, nice good old school World War II plot. What more can you say about Steve Rogers? Let's be honest, easy A tier to me. And then we've got another S coming here, guys. Captain America 2 The Winter Soldier. I think most people will agree that this is straight up S tier. Let me know if you disagree, but I don't see many people disagreeing with this. Fantastic film, quite a grounded film in the grand scheme of the MCU. Yes, super soldiers and whatnot going crazy, but it's not quite aliens and whatnot, if you know what I mean. Massive implications for the franchise going forward with S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything that happens with S.H.I.E.L.D. Everything that happens with Bucky. Yeah, it sets up so many things here going forward and rightly deserves its S tier ranking in my eyes. Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. This is a bit of a tricky one. I don't think it quite deserves the D treatment, but I don't think I can give it more than a C. I just think, again, it's okay. Nothing more than that. It's just okay, which is a shame because it really sets up Wanda being such a badass as the Scarlet Witch. But the film's just a bit forgettable, really. Is it better than Doctor Strange 1? We said we'd maybe go back to Strange 1. Is it better than 1? The answer, in my opinion, is no. So I think Mr. Strange, Doctor Strange, you are bumped up the list. But yeah, Multiverse of Madness sits at a C to me. Now, talking of 4, here we go again. 4, Love and Thunder. I think we all know where this one's going, guys. I don't feel good about it, but what a failure. This was my most anticipated film. I think it was last year, wasn't it? 22. And I've never been so disappointed when it comes to seeing something at the cinema. What a load of shit. I'm sorry, it is. Christian Bale, I feel sorry for you for being part of this film. You deserve better, my friend. Chris Hemsworth deserves better than this. Taika Waititi, I think he just pushed the envelope too much for this film. He had the winning formula with Thor Ragnarok. All he had to do was do it again. Easier said than done, I know. But I think he went too silly in this film. I think he went too extreme almost. The goats, I just don't get it. I mean, maybe if you're like 8 or 9 and the goat screaming might appeal to you. No offense to anyone if you enjoyed that, fair play. The God Butcher, I just feel like he had no screen time really, and Christian Bale's an excellent actor and can play so many different roles, and he was great at what he did in this, but he just didn't really get any screen time. I didn't mind Jane getting the power of Thor, and actually there was some moments where it genuinely was sad and moving, but I just felt like it was a bit of a train wreck of a film. And it's sad to say that because, like I said a minute ago, Thor Ragnarok was probably is still my favorite standalone Marvel film to date. But I can't justify putting Thor Love and Thunder anywhere else. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Thor. I like Thor as a character. I don't want to see him leave. I don't want to see Chris Hemsworth leave. But Love and Thunder was, to me, a massive disappointment. And it just kind of sums up the MCU at the moment. One big kind of disappointment. Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. They had a very difficult task of trying to follow on the fantastic work of Chadwick Boseman. And it was okay. I actually quite like is it Namor, the sort of primary antagonist or villain. I mean, shout out to this bad boy right here, however, I can't really put it any higher than a C. I was close to putting it into B. I think they do some really good things in this film, but I just feel like it doesn't quite live up to expectations. I think the story and the plot's just a bit meh. Again, I think the final act kind of let the film down. I think it was heading towards a B until that final sort of fight scene. Shuri is actually really good in this, but I don't think she's a strong enough actor or character to kind of carry the franchise forward. But I do look forward to seeing her again in future projects. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, or whatever it's officially called. Like all of the Guardians films, really enjoyed it. Most people probably haven't seen it. If you have seen it, I think you'll probably agree that it's a fun little outing. It's just a sort of a, I can't remember how long it was now. Was it like 40 minutes, maybe 50 minutes? Has a nice little moment in it, which I'll again try not to spoil everything. And kind of leads into Guardians 3 without you necessarily needing to see the holiday special. Just sitting pretty as a bead, not really anywhere else to go with that. Ant-Man Quantumania. This one's a hard one. Again, this film was panned by critics and audience alike. I really like Ant-Man 1 and 2. I think it's got quite a unique style and humour. Paul Rudd is great. It's got a good cast overall, and then it had the unenviable task of leading in the new big bad of the MCU in terms of Kang the Conqueror. And yes, okay, Loki did it first, but in terms of the film, this was his first sort of moment, and he gets beaten by ants, and that's the meme here. Everyone knows that's the meme. Oh, big bad Kang gets defeated by ants. I know they're super ants, but he's meant to be the next big bad, and in the first film he's made to look like a chump. Let's put it that way. We all know about MODOK, how bad his CGI is, and you know, if you go by the reports, apparently the studio had to relinquish some of their budget for Wakanda Forever, ironically, which was also pretty average. So I do feel bad for the people that made this film, because it looked pretty bad. It was a real shame. I really like Ant-Man. I feel like he didn't deserve to be in a film that was this panned, because the first two outings are actually a load of fun, and they removed all the side characters. What's his name? His sort of partner that at that surveillance company. I can't remember his name, but like all of the humor and that from the Ant-Man 1 and 2 films sort of stripped away here to focus on, you know, the new big baddie, Kang the Conqueror, who got defeated by ants, and to make it even worse for him, the actor himself is being done for assault, so he might not even return to the MCU. We'll see, time will tell. And finally, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. To me, this is sitting pretty as an S tier, and I don't care if you disagree on that one. That film made me cry more than my wedding day. That is the saddest film I have seen in a long time, but equally fantastic. I appreciated that it was literally just sort of standalone with the Guardians characters that we all sort of come to love. None of this sort of MCU connected tissue. It was sort of, we're going to end the trilogy with these characters and their story, and I hugely respect that. And in the end, Disney made the right decision to bring James Gunn back. It's a shame they've lost him now completely to the DC world, but what a way to go out. Guardians 3, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go and watch it. You will need the tissues though. It's very sad. Very, very sad. S tier easily. For some it might only be like an A, but I think the Guardians of the Galaxy, the whole trilogy is great. Yes, the second one's not quite as good as the others, but yeah, wow, what a film. And there you have it, guys. Look at that. We're done. So just to wrap up, S tier, we've got Captain America Civil War. No question in my eyes on that. What a film. The first Avengers, I mean, sets up so much. Infinity War, what an ending. Guardians of the Galaxy 1, I was just singing their praises, and it was groundbreaking at the time. Thor Ragnarok, my personal favourite standalone sort of superhero film. Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier, easy S tier, don't even need to explain that. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3, probably the only good MCU film other than Spider-Man No Way Home since Endgame, let's be honest. A-list or A-tier, Avengers Endgame, Iron Man 1, Spider-Man No Way Home, Black Panther and Captain America. B-tier, Avengers Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Shang-Chi, which was so close to making that A-list until it hit the final act and then it just fell apart a bit for me. WandaVision, Loki Season 1, Season 2 still airing at the time of making this, Iron Man 3, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, C tier, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah, Iron Man 2. Some people might put Iron Man 2 a bit higher. Hawkeye, again, was actually enjoyable, just a bit mid. Moon Knight, same for that. 4, 1 and 2, easily skippable. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, just disappointing. Wakanda Forever, disappointing. And Ant-Man Quantumania, also disappointing. D-list or D-tier, Eternals, awful, just don't bother. I mean, even Kevin Feige doesn't care for it. Not one mention of the events of Eternals since it's come out, and there's been about 10 projects since. Thor Love and Thunder, probably the most disappointing Marvel film to date from a hype factor. The trailers made it look excellent, and it was far from that. And obviously the Marvels is coming out next month, which I would check out, hence the whole point of making this, because it just got me in the mood for Marvel and there's nothing else really out to talk about film wise at the moment. Marvel What If, I just haven't watched it yet. Secret Invasion, seen part of it. Miss Marvel, Hulk, She-Hulk, The Hulk and Werewolf by Night. Let me know in the comments if I should actually waste my time or not watching some of these ones I haven't seen yet. I know Marvel What If is meant to be quite good. But there we have it, guys. There is our tier maker list. I don't think this has missed anything out. Let me know if I have missed anything out that is glaringly obvious. I can't sort of see anything. And let me know if you enjoyed this. Like and subscribe to the channel. Lights, camera, Jackson, baby. All things TV and film, of course. And keep an eye out for future videos, both here and also on my Twitch channel, xmarkjx. And on Jackson Plays, my other YouTube channel for gaming. I am going to be upping the ante again on creating content and streaming. So keep tuned in to all things Jackson, guys. And I will see you on the next video. Take care, everyone.